Can you see my eye twitching?
No? G'day, it's Lindsay Waddington, and today we're going to have a talk with a great mate of mine and one of our leading young songwriters and singers. He's a wonderful bloke, and he's just writing what he sees, and he's really resonating with a lot of people around Australia. And I'm proud to have him in the studio, the first winner of our Thornton Young Award, which is very special, and proud to have him here to have a yak today about one of his songs. How you going, Paul Ricketts?
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, mate. I want to have a talk to you about one of my favourite songs in my 20-odd years producing. A song came over the table here that you presented in front of me to produce for your album, and it was Sapper Smith. What's the story behind that, mate? And let the people know.
Yeah, that story goes right back to my father, and he was born in 1939. He had me later in life, and so by the time he had me, he'd done a thing or two, and he had some great stories. And part of his life, when he left school and did his trade, he then went and joined the Australian Regular Army. And he had an older brother, Freddie, and Freddie was about 10 years older than him. And Freddie had some mates that had served in the Korean War for the Australian Army and had told him some stories. And so Uncle Freddie told my father this story when he signed up to give him hope and to never give up. And that was the story of Sapper Smith. And did you want me to tell you the story of Sapper Smith?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, so the story goes that this gentleman had to drive supplies to the front line in the Korean War. And it was an emergency to get all these supplies, ammunition and medical equipment over to the front line. And it started snowing, and he's in the truck on his own to try get over there. And he came to a site where he knew there was a lot of landmines, and all the markers had been covered over by the snow, and he didn't know how he was going to get through this danger zone. And this fella turned up there named Sapper Smith, and he said, "Oh, I'll guide you through because I'm the bloke who put all these mines down and I know exactly where they are and I'll get you through safely." So he got him through this danger zone, and the gentleman got to the front line and they said, "Oh, how did you get through?" and that, and he told them where he'd come, and they said, "How'd you get through there without blowing up?" And he said, "Oh, this fella named Sapper Smith, he showed me where to go." And they said, "Couldn't be. He died 4 days ago."
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you wrote that with your dad?
Yeah. Dad, he's funny. He had like so many stories.
Tell everyone who your dad is. He was a wonderful still is a wonderful singer, and he was a really important part of our music history here in Australia.
Yeah. Bobby Ricks, yeah. He'd toured with Slim Dusty in 71 and written a few songs for Slim that Slim went and recorded. He was a great songwriter, and I don't know why he sat on that story, but he had this saying growing up. He'd go, like, you say it too, you say, "Never give up." And he'd say, "As long as you got a heartbeat, just keep going." Well, he was down and out himself a few years ago, feeling sorry for himself, and he'd had his bladder removed and that because he had bladder cancer, and he was really not feeling good. And I said, "Well, you always said to me, never give up." And I said, "How about we write that song?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so that's how it come about? And was it a thing, Paul, where he had it written back then, or he just carried that story and you just finished it off? Or
He'd written it years ago, and his house burnt down in 73 and it was destroyed. He had a trunk full of all his lyrics, and it went up in smoke. And then 2 years later, or a year later, he moved to another house and lost it in the 74 floods. So,
oh, really?
Poor bugger. So he didn't know how the song went, but we sat down and wrote it together. Actually, he was really bad at the time, not feeling good at all, and he tried to write it out, and he'd written it out as a story, and then the end part wasn't done. And it wasn't intended to be the lyrics, but how he wrote it as a story formed the first couple of verses
Wow.
of it. So we added a chorus and finished off the last verse together.
Yeah.
And that was it.
It's got to be pretty special, like when you look back on it, like your old man started way back then,
Yeah.
and anybody around the world who's watching this, Slim Dusty is like Australia's Elvis Presley, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Like everybody knows his
Yeah.
household name, and so for Bobby, your dad, to tour with him and that as one of his chosen singers to have on the show is a big thing, and isn't that amazing then he started then later in life you win the Thornton Young Award and become a recording artist and travelling Australia now sharing your stories.
Yeah.
But this story is brought you together.
Yeah.
It's
it did.
combined you.
Yeah. And then you just went to town on it.
Yeah. Well, I had a bit of budget left, so I thought I'd just throw everything at it.
I don't know how you have any budget left after doing that. So I reckon it probably nearly sent you broke. Every man and his dog played on it.
They did. But I tell you what, it's one of my favourite productions in all the productions I've done. And one of the stars in it, we should talk, which we're very fortunate to have had him on some of our segments here, Kirk Lorange.
Yeah.
What an amazing slide player.
Oh, mate.
All those little anthemic things he did and all the little sound effects he did on the slide guitar.
Yeah.
Like I'll give a shout out to our Thornton Young winner here, Paul Ricketts. He did Sapper Smith, and you did like featured from start to finish on slide.
Yeah.
Oh, it made the track.
Well, you can.
Yeah, and it was putting them in the minefields, and then you did this thing like when the combat, they're talking on the walkies, and you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there's a lot of different things you can do. Yeah.
and it was just amazing how
Oh,
it really made the track. And I know even Paul himself, he was just like blown away. He said, like this bloke did this all on a guitar. It's like he did, and he did it
a
himself.
sound effect machine.
Yeah,
And also
Glenn Thomas.
Glenn Thomas.
Yeah,
The stuff that he played on there.
like the old school, like sort of organ.
The 60s organ. The Hammond.
Yeah, the Hammond. But it's that it puts you like in those classic old Vietnam movies or Korean War movies or everybody bought in. I found that with the musicians. Like we've blessed here at LWM with some of the greatest musicians in the world. I know that.
Yeah.
But when you get great songs like that, it's great to see their minds. They help you bring these pictures out of your head as a producer, and
Yep.
and it's just so amazing. And I was really proud of it. And when I listen back to now, the scary part is you can close your eyes in a dark room, put headphones on. It's nearly a movie. It can nearly put you there.
It's very cinematic, the production of it. It's phenomenal. Which is funny because you listen to the stuff that I've done since, there's nothing like that. It's very stripped back.
Yeah.
But somehow you've managed to tie it into my style as well. So that was really, really well done of you.
Yeah, thanks, mate. So, Paul, where can people go and check out this song?
Spotify, YouTube, they're probably the one. And my new album when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bloody oath. I love talking to people, even if you don't want the album. Just come and say good day.
I can guarantee you, Sapper Smith, make sure you get on board. What a great song and a great tribute to our ANZACs. I want him to tell you about a story he did called Charlie Crow.
Yeah, that's a song you and I wrote together, Watto. Just so you remember.
Yeah, I do, but it's about you, mate.
Yeah. No, so I was playing a gig, and you go through a stage in your music career where things seem stagnant, and you feel like things are going against you. And I had a string of gigs that felt that way for me. But this one time I was playing a gig and there was not many people there. And as the song explains really well, and this fella come up to me in one of my breaks and he gave me two $50 notes and a jacket signed by a heap of Australian artists. And he said, I want you to have these. I just won this money on the pokies and here's a jacket. And I said to him, no, mate, I don't want your money and that. He said, no, I think what you're doing with your music and that, it's really good and I'd like to support you and give you some encouragement to keep going. And I said, I don't feel comfortable taking your money. And he said, well, pay it forward. He said, I'm a Vietnam veteran. If you come across another veteran, give it to him. So so I sat on that story for years, and then you and I went and wrote a song about it.
Yeah.
And we raffled off the jacket and the money and raised $2,000 for the Veterans Retreat at Gympie. So
Bloody wonderful.
Yeah.
I've got to ask you something. I want to put you on the spot here. Those two $50 notes,
Yeah.
are they the real original?
They're the real ones.
They were the original ones.
They sat in my guitar case for years.
So you never spent them and then thought, I better go and get two out of the bank?
No, never.
They were them.
Yeah, I'm that wealthy I could put two $50 notes aside.
Very rare musician.
Oh, I know.
How good's that, mate?
Yeah, it is cool. So,
Do you know where they went, where the jacket went?
yep,
And do you know where the 50s went?
yep.
Have they been paid forward?
The same person won the both. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a bloke named Dan Rock won them. And he's at a place called Hillview Cottages. And, we actually became mates and that. So he's holding on to them, and he's got a venue, so he's going to put the jacket up in the venue.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, there's a great story about Charlie Crow. Check it out on all great streaming services or Paul's new album. It's a beauty. Paul Ricketts.
Thanks.